Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my Windwool cloth farming guide. Now this one's going to be a bit different than the other ones because I'm going to show you 5 different farming spots, and they are ranging from very easy to farm to fairly challenging to farm. And of course, the amount of Windwool cloth obtained from these spots ranges and varies depending on their difficulty. And here we go. So the first location is this lovely cave. There's the location on the map, and this cave is very easy. As you can see, it's filled with sprites. They're level 87, they don't have a lot of health, and they don't do an awful lot of damage. So, if you don't have an awful lot of gear, or you're using off-spec, maybe you're a healer, if you're like a priest and you have a shadow off-spec just to farm some stuff, you can go to this cave. It's not very difficult, but the outcome isn't as good as with the other spots. And what you're looking for are these suspicious snow piles. If you attack them, you hit them with AoE or just run over them, more sprites will appear. So if you go deeper into the cave, you will see why this area is so good. Yes, look at this. If you run into the middle of this and do some AoE, bam! A ton of sprites. They don't do a ton of damage, they just hit you with snowballs, and as you can see, the snowballs do around 4,000 damage, which is not that, threatening. And you can loot. There is a couple of these big snow patches along the way, so you can just run around like a madman and farm your Windwool cloth. But once again, it's not as good as the other spots, and these guys have a tendency of spreading out, just throwing snowballs, and they might be hard to AoE. But overall, it's a pretty good farming spot for Windwool cloth. Moving on. The second spot is called the Angler's Expedition. It's slightly harder than the previous one, and it's located in Karasang Wilds. Here's the location on the map, and this one is very famous for harmony farming, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because if you're in a really populated server, there is a high chance that someone is already here farming these dudes. They're level 90, they do more damage, but they are in a constant battle against the anglers, so most of them are on lower hit points. So they're easier to kill, but they hit slightly harder. And overall, this is a better farming spot than the previous one, but if you have a very squishy character and you can't do an awful lot of damage, I would not recommend it. The third spot on my list is Lion's Landing. Now this is horde only. Here's the location on the minimap. And this one, I would recommend it to characters with high survivability and very heavy AoE damage. As you can see, there is a lot of dudes to kill, but they do a nice amount of damage, and they have pretty good amount of healing. So if you either have really bad survivability or you can't deal high sustained AoE damage, I would not recommend. But if you're something like a Guardian Druid, you can do stuff like this. So all you have to do is land and just start pulling everything you can. Round it up and start AoEing. If you can survive, if you can kill them fast enough, you're golden. And let's see how much stuff we get from essentially one pull. And there we go. We get 3 gold, 13 Lion's Landing commission, 3 Windwool cloth, some leek, 1 green, and tea, milk tea. And that is essentially just 1 pull. The good thing about this spot is that there is a lot of people doing daily quests on both sides. So the respawn rate is really fast. So once again, if you're hard, if you have high survivability and a really good sustained AoE damage, this one is one of the best. Next, we have the entirety of Valley of Eternal Blossoms. This place is for decked out characters. If you want to farm Windwool cloth by killing these Mogu camps, you better have a decked out character, because these dudes are designed to counteract farming. They've been added in later patches, which means they have more health, they do a lot of damage. So if you're not a tank in decent gear or a DPS in high-end gear, do not bother. You'll be too slow. You can kill them, but you'll be too slow, and I would just recommend one of the previous farming spots. But there is a couple of big upsides to these farming spots in Valley of Eternal Blossoms. So first of all these Mogu have a chance of dropping Sky Shards. It's not a very high chance, but there is still a chance. So you can actually get the mount, which you can either sell or use. So that's a good thing. Second of all, they have a chance of dropping a key, which you can use to open a chest, which can contain a stack of Windwool cloth, and another chest which can contain even more Windwool cloth. You can also get harmony, some ore, leather, herbs, and gold. And third really good thing is you have both faction cities in here. So the respawn rates are insanely fast because the area is filled with players. But as I've said, I would not recommend it unless you're a tank with good DPS, such as a Guardian Druid or a Death Knight in an average gear, or a DPS in a fairly high-end gear. And as a bonus, here is a 5th farming spot. Now this spot is usually very heavily farmed and the respawn rates aren't that great. But if you're on a server that is low populated, this one is gonna be golden for you. Courtyard of Throne of Thunder. There's a lot of troll NPCs, all of them will drop Windwool cloth. There is a couple of rares that can drop you nice items, and you can get some nice bonus out of it. But once again, these NPCs have been added in 5.2. That means that they have more health, they do more damage. So once again, you need decent survivability and a decent damage output. And one last tip before I end this video is, when you're farming Windwool cloth, use Potion of Luck. It's very cheap and it gives you a chance of looting a chest from a mob that can contain gold, white trillium, black trillium, and all kinds of different stuff. And that's it from me for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the guide helped you. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.